Shalom, my friends, this is Max Joseph, and I am here because it is the 10th of the month, which means only one thing. It is time for the top 10s. And this month's top 10 will feature a video that I've had requested for so long, and I've been meaning to do for so long, and it's the perfect time to do it. My friends, it is my top 10 films of 2019. But before I go into my top 10, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and ding that little bell to get notified whenever I post new videos. And a special shout out to Sam Meltzer, who guessed the most correct films in my top 10 films of the decade. Special shout out to you, my friend. Mazel tov. And so here are my top 10 films of 2019. Number 10, The Farewell. The Farewell is the definition of a simple story told perfectly. There isn't anything crazy and grand about it. Lulu Wang just tells the story of a family having to deal with their beloved grandmother's terminal illness, but they have to keep the decision to themselves and keep the grandma in the dark. That's really it. And we just get to watch a family struggle with the decision. I love a movie that doesn't feed me too much information, and this was just able to be. It's so organic. And I believe that this movie is for everyone who has ever lost someone or has had to watch someone suffer, and wishing more than anything that you could just take their pain away, even if that means carrying the burden for them. I truly enjoy every second of it, and Awkwafina was snubbed of an Oscar nomination big time in my opinion, but she would be on my personal ballot because she was a revelation, and she proved that she is one of the most diverse actors working today. The film also gave us Zhao Shushen, who played the grandmother Nai Nai, who is a national treasure and should be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for just how adorable she was. And her performance was so truthful, and she made it so easy to fall in love with her. By the way, she won the Independent Spirit Award, and so did the film itself. I loved that. And last, I'm huge on scores for films, and I don't believe Alex Weston got enough credit this year, because he delivered one of the best and most character-driven scores of 2019 and should be recognized. And a special shout out to the brilliant Michael Kilgore on those vocals. Loved hearing you sing, my friend. Number 9, Fighting with My Family. This might come as a surprise, my friends, but full disclosure, I am a die-hard WWE fan. I've been watching religiously since I was 5 years old. I went to my first WrestleMania last year with my brother, and it was one of the greatest experiences we've ever had, and it's something I will never forget. So when I saw that there was a movie coming out about the life of Paige, who is one of the trailblazers for women's wrestling, I was, to say excited would be the understatement of the century. However, I wasn't expecting it to be amazing. I was expecting it to be, your typical WWE Studios movie. A good time, but nothing special. Well, I walked out of that theater on March 7th, 2019 in shock. It quickly went into my top 10 films of the year. I didn't think it would stay there, but fast forward to seeing close to nearly 200 films with 2019 releases, it has remained in there. And it starts with my actor of the year, Florence Pugh. I really didn't know too much about her going into this movie, but I walked out her biggest fan. And then we fast forward to her work in Midsommar, which in my opinion is the best performance of 2019, and then an Academy Award nominated performance in Little Women. And now she has Black Widow coming out. She is just on a roll, and I love it. And besides Pugh, I think Jack Lowden is unnecessarily brilliant. I would have even put up a campaign for him. Absolutely wonderful. Besides the magnificent acting, the sound design is great, the script is so fun, it actually stays pretty true with Paige's life. I adore this movie, and I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but I'm beyond thrilled that I experienced it. Number 8, Booksmart. Booksmart is one of the best coming-of-age movies of the decade, and it is the definition of a perfect comedy. And just because a film isn't a drama doesn't mean it's not worthy of awards recognition. This and Jojo Rabbit, in my opinion, are the two best comedies of the year. And what a thrill for Olivia Wilde. I love watching her act, but I hope she continues to also direct, because I think she did something really special here. And I love that in this movie you can relate to it. No matter who you are or where you grew up, you know what it feels like to be a teenager. You know what these characters are going through. And this ensemble is so good, especially from Kaitlyn Dever and Billie Lourd. Kaitlyn Dever deserves a nomination for the pool scene alone. It is one of the most memorable scenes of this year, and she manages to make me laugh, but then snap my fingers, she makes me feel sick to my stomach. Whew, she's brilliant. And you know how the Academy doesn't really like to award comedic roles? Well, I say enter Billie Lourd in Booksmart. Her comedic timing is explosive and brilliant, and you cannot teach it. Every second she has on the screen is some of the most fun I've had watching a movie in a long time. What a joy she is. The film is a joy, it's remarkable, and it should be a required viewing, my friends. Number 7, Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is just a film that is ruthless in its pacing and refuses to give up on it. It said, here, take this. Okay, now I'm gonna shove it down your throat and you're not gonna be able to breathe for this whole time. It's similar to how I felt watching another Safdie Brothers movie, Good Time. Just constant heart palpitations. Oh God. And there's only a few moments where they allow us to just like catch our breath. And even in those moments, like the Passover Seder, were so tense. It was chock full of anxiety-driven text and beautiful camera work, like when they were dipping their fingers in the wine while saying the 10 plagues. Genius writing, my friends. I love the dialogue that they wrote because so much of it was just on top of each other, but it wasn't messy. It was normal conversations, but in an extreme and tense situation, and it worked unnecessarily brilliantly. And I don't think I breathed throughout this entire film except for those few moments. But the exhale that I did take when the credits hit felt like heaven. A lot of that was also thanks to the brilliant Ronald Bronstein and Benny Safdie, who just won the Independent Spirit Award for film editing. And bravo to also newly minted Spirit Award winning actor Adam Sandler, who gives the best performance of his career, at least since the golden age of Sandler, like Waterboy, Happy Gilmore, and Billy Madison. I have a feeling that the world will look back at this movie in a few years and realize, whoa, we missed out on giving this film a lot more love. Number 6, Blinded by the Light. My friends, this is the definition of my kind of movie. It's the kind of movie that I just grew up with. It's the feel-good film of 2019. Growing up, my family loved watching movies where at the end you'd raise your fists up in the air and scream, never give up, hoo, hoo, hoo. My dad used to say it, now my whole family says it. So think about D2, The Mighty Ducks, Remember the Titans, Cool Runnings, those kinds of movies. I know it's a weird list, but just bear with me. Point being, I love those movies where you just sob at the end because you're so proud. Like, you saw your kid score a goal, and you're like, yeah! Blinded by the Light gave that feeling to me. Just a constant happiness. And Vivek Kalra, who played Javed, is so wonderful and so incredibly endearing, and it was also his film debut. I have gone back and forth with putting him on my personal Oscar ballot. I think he's that wonderful. It also helps that I love the music of Bruce Springsteen. He's one of the few artists where if his music starts playing, I start crying, just out of nowhere, and I think that was part of this movie. His music can just transform and really speak to people like it does for me. And it had some of my favorite cinematography of the year, especially when we see Javed first experience the music of the boss. We watch the music get literally spelled out, and it just adds so much to the back and forth between Javed's struggle with being stuck in his home with his traditional father, and then also trying to carve his own path. Blinded by the Light is one of those movies that I'll watch for the rest of my life, and I look forward to watching with my kids if I'm so lucky. It is a perfect Max Joseph movie. Number 5, Joker. Arguably the most controversial film of the year takes this number 5 slot, and even though it's controversial and I hear the other sides of the argument, and I also have some problems with it, I just happen to love this movie. My 2 favorite things are the score and, of course, Joaquin Phoenix. First, the score. It was one of the few scores this year that really felt like it was its own character. but was also able to complement the movie and Phoenix's performance to a T. My favorite fun fact about the film is that iconic moment of Phoenix in the bathroom, they played Hildor's music and just let Phoenix react and just move to it. And that's what they used in the final product. And to me, that gets my skin crawling in the best way possible. And number 2, of course, is Joaquin Phoenix, who delivered one of the most impressive performances of the year, if not the most impressive. No matter what he does, he is the definition of masterful. And to see him play one of my favorite villains of all time so perfectly was such a treat. And it was so different than what Heath Ledger did, and not that one is better, but it's just different. Number 4, Queen and Slim. I will never understand how the world overlooked this film. It is easily one of the most emotional, powerful, and exhausting experiences I've ever had in the theater. It also happens to feature 2 of the best acting performances of the year in my eyes, given by Academy Award nominee Daniel Kaluuya, and introducing Jodie Turner-Smith. Emmy winner Lena Waithe wrote a stunning script overflowing with emotion and twists and turns, and kept me enthralled for all 131 minutes. And I love that, in Waithe's own words, Queen started as Malcolm X, and Slim started as Martin Luther King. And by the end, they switched places. Again, blood boils, skin crawls in the best way. Oh my God, that's just genius writing to me. And it was done so successfully, and it gave a whole new meaning behind the film that I didn't even realize during my first watch. So it gets better with every watch after knowing all of these things that she was trying to create. And Melina Matsoukas feels like she's been directing films for years, when this is actually somehow her feature film debut. Good Lord, I can't wait to see what she puts out next, and I hope that her and Lena Waithe continue to work together, because I think they have something so incredibly special. It is such a brilliant film, and if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to change that. I adore this film, and I think the world needs to experience it. Also, this movie has the best soundtrack of the year, bar none. With original songs from one of the greatest artists on the planet, Lauryn Hill. We got Raphael Saadiq, Vince Staples. It is absolute gold. Number 3, Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit is in my top 10 films of the decade. It is perfect. Who would have thought that we would have a comedy about World War II done so masterfully? Taika Waititi managed to make the world's most evil human being and make him a clown, while at the same time showing the horror of what it looked like during the time. It also gave me arguably my favorite character of 2019, Rosie, played unbelievably by Scarlett Johansson. I think Rosie fully represents what people were fighting for at the time. As a Jew, I've been told so many stories about incredible humans trying to save my people, and seeing Rosie on screen is exactly what I pictured in my head. A person who believes that humans have the right to be humans. It doesn't matter if you're German, Jewish, green, purple, gay, black. It doesn't matter. All of us have the right to live each and every day. Nobody can take that away from you. And the way that Rosie is able to give that hope to Elsa, a Jew, fighting for her life just to live, is extraordinarily beautiful and powerful. The ones who died and who died trying to protect, and I quote, did what they could. I believe this film is perfection. And it also, as a less intense moment, it gave us Roman Griffin Davis, who gave the best performance from a young actor this year, and of course, Archie Yates, who is reason enough to watch this film. Number 2, Parasite. If you've seen my top 10 films of the decade, I believe you know this is no surprise, and I'm sure you know what number 1 is, but let's talk about Parasite. It's one of the most perfect movies ever created. It easily earns this slot. Everything about it is masterful. I don't have enough words. There aren't enough words in any language, in any dictionary, to describe how perfect this movie is, so I'll just kind of word vomit. Bong Joon-ho created something that will go down in history as one of the greatest films of all time. Parasite is something I've never experienced in a theater. I think this is how people must have felt being in the theater, watching The Godfather, watching Shawshank. I was 2 when it came out, so I didn't get to experience that in theaters. But just an absolute shock. But at the same time, you're realizing you are watching something really special. From the Park family house built from scratch to the tour de force performances from every member of this ensemble, this is a masterpiece. The photography from Hong Kyung-pyo is so beautiful and includes one of my favorite shots I've ever seen in my life. And if you want to know what it is, comment and I will say spoiler. Back to Bong Joon-ho for a minute. His script is shocking, it's twisted, and full of so much emotion, and how he is able to keep the social class divide at the forefront is the stuff of magicians. Bong Joon-ho is a mastermind at the very top of his game. I've said it before and I shall say it again, Parasite is a masterpiece that deserves to be in museums and also deserves to be awarded every award on the planet. Number 1, Avengers Endgame. There is no surprise here, my friends. There is no question. This is my favorite movie of the year and of the decade. If you haven't seen that video, check the link. I've seen it probably close to 30 times now. I can't stop watching it. I find new things every time I watch it. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this was the ultimate climactic moment, and it was absolutely perfect. I wanted perfection, and I was praying that I would get it, and I thought I would based on the trailers, and boy did I get it in spades times 1,000. It was everything I wanted in a superhero movie. The acting is phenomenal, especially from Scarlett Johansson, from our main 6 with Cap and everyone, but Robert Downey Jr. specifically gives the best performance as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, which is the role he was born to play. He is the reason this franchise is what it is. And the movie is told in 3 acts, each act more perfect than the last. We get a bit of everything. We get great drama in the first act, which isn't the normal MCU method, and it gives a lot of our actors some really wonderful moments for them that they haven't gotten in their last few movies. We get fan service in the second act, done the right way, and then probably my favorite battle and action sequence I've ever seen in my life in the third act, as well as the most cathartic ending to a movie I've ever experienced. And my friends, when I tell you I have never cried so hard in a movie in my life, I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking Viola Davis snot dripping out of my nose, kind of heaving. And it felt wonderful. To me, Avengers Endgame is a masterpiece. I love it, and I love it more with each watch. I'm gonna go watch it right now. Those are my top 10 movies of 2019. Let me know what your top 10 films of the year are. Put them in the comments. Agree with my list, disagree, let me know. And if you want the full ranking of every single movie I've seen in 2019, follow me on Letterboxd and you can see all of them. And so my friends, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, as well as follow me on Twitter and Instagram at mjoseph492. Like my page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/MaxJosephFilmPerson. And if you really love me, please consider being a patron on Patreon, where you can get patron-only content, guest interviews, giveaways, and lots more. You can even give me a film to review, a 10th of the month top 10 list, a song to cover from your favorite film. And my friends, that video will be dedicated to you. Shalom, my friends.